Okay, class. Today we're going to learn about our machine a little bit. We're going to learn how to properly set it up, how to thread it, how to oil it, how to spin a bobbin, and how to work all the function of the machine. Let's get a good understanding of how the machine works. So we'll flip the head back. This is called the head. All right? And here you see your bobbin case assembly. Here you see your camshaft, your drive belt. Okay, right here you see your belt, which runs off your motor that's down below. This is your secondary knee foot lift. You see right here? It pushes up there. That pushes on this, which raises our foot. We're going to look at that later. This is the reason for proper lubrication. All these pieces spin and move at a high rate of speed, so lubrication is essential. And you'll see that when you read your manual. Foot assembly. Okay, there's several different feet. This just removes that with a screw. Okay, this is a single called a zipper foot. And you see that, just one-sided. This is a double welt foot. All right, that's used for sewing double welt cord of this nature here. Okay, and this is our standard foot, which is also a cording foot. You see how it's rounded there. That's what allows the cord to sew. But this is our main foot that we sew with. There's a little notch. Put that up in there. All right. And put our screw back in. All right. The next thing we want to do is install our needle. All right. You see right here on our case the needle size, which is very important. Use the proper needle. Indicated in your owner's manual and in the handout. And then on the needle, there is a certain way to put it in. That long slot there, that rides on the bobbin case side. And this side here goes to the set screw side. All right, it's very important you don't put your needle in backwards. It will not sew properly. Put our needle back up in there. That sets our needle. We're going to look at our bobbin case. I'm going to show you the proper way to install a bobbin. All right, we have a pre-spun bobbin here. You can see right there. You put your bobbin in with your thread pulling away. Click your lever down through the slot. All right. Go through there. All right, and that's the proper way to install a bobbin. Okay. Next, we're going to touch on safety. We want to make sure we use our proper safety glasses here. Okay, I'm using my prescribed reading glasses because I'm unable to see threading the machine. Okay, we always want to have our machine in the off position when threading and work on the machine. We have a lot of moving parts here. We have a sharp needle and pieces that go up and down. We want to make sure to keep our fingers out of the way of the machine and keep it in the off position. All right, that being said, we're going to spin a bobbin, and the bobbin will spin as we sew. So you take your thread, you go through your exchanger here. Okay, thread comes down, runs through your thread tensioner. Okay, you push it through your bobbin casing. You put a couple quick twists on it. All right, and we snap right here on the bobbin. And that will spin our bobbin as we go. Now this release lever, put that down, it automatically spins this bobbin as we sew. Once the bobbin's full, it will sense that the bobbin is full and release it. So you cannot overspin your bobbin. All right, the next thing we're going to do is thread our machine, and this part is key. Okay, so we're going to remove our old thread. Don't be scared of this part. I gave you all a handout. It's clearly indicated in the handout the proper way to thread the machine. We put our thread on the spool, come through our guide. Okay. We have our light here, it always helps. Now this has 4 different settings on the machine, depending on the thickness of the thread. All right, so for today's lesson, we will use all 4 holes. All right, we do that. Now we come up, and this just sets tension on the thread. Here's another thread tensioner. You go up, down, and through. All right, that's pretty self-explanatory. When you use your knee lift, it will open. This is your thread tensioner. You want to go through your thread tensioner, Okay, come around your second thread tensioner and pull up over that hook. All right, now we have tension set, and you can feel it. So you can no longer pull the thread freely. We go up, through these individual hooks, which are all thread guides. Okay. And lastly, you want to go through the needle, and you want to come from left to right, going towards the bobbin case. Again, very important. We manually turn the machine over and pull our bobbin thread up through the top. What I like to do is I keep a pin handy. All right? With the pin, you pull that right through. Now, we have our bobbin thread and our upper thread. The machine is now properly threaded. Okay, the next thing we want to go to is lubrication. The machine is labeled with red dots indicating the proper lubrication spots. I gave everyone a handout, all right? So you can go through and you want to put 2 or 3 drops of oil in each spot. In here there's a wick that soaks up extra oil. All right, so we want to lubricate our machine. You can never use too much oil. All right. Another key spot to oil the machine is right here on the bobbin case. You want to lay oil right around there, and again, you never can over oil the machine. Again, up here on the top, there's a little wick right there. More dots. That's all on the handout. And right here, you see a wick. You can 5 or 6 drops in there. And now we'll allow that oil to run down through the machine and down into them cams that we looked at earlier. All right. So now we have our tensioner set up here for our bobbin. We have our machine properly threaded. We close our bobbin case cover. All right. 2 other things I always like to touch on. This is a safety control switch. So if you jam the machine up and you come to the point where you're going to break one of these cams or belts, this thing will automatically click off. And all you do to reset that, and again, it's in the manual, you would push on your presser foot and wiggle that and it'll reset that. The second button here to your left is your stitch. That's your stitch length, which is right here in your stitch window. So you would push that down and hold it until it clicks. Now, right now, and I'm at 4 stitches per inch. If I wanted to move it up to 5, I just hold the button down. 5, 6, goes all the way up to about 10 stitches per inch. All right, it has a hole right here. You see, that's your standard stitch size. All right, so now once we go to the stitch size, we release the button, we are set on that stitch. And the reason for changing stitch sizes is the type of material you're sewing. If you're sewing a vinyl of this nature here, then you're going to want to open your stitch up a lot. If you're sewing a very fine sheer type of cloth, then you want a much smaller stitch. Okay, we're going to touch on the presser foot. There's 2 ways to operate this foot. We have our back foot assembly, which we like to use this if we're done sewing or we're making moves on the machine. We're going to put some new fabric under there. We use that foot. Okay? If we're just doing some starting out and some basic sewing, we'd like to use our knee lift. So we're making moves, we're doing some different things, we're using our knee lift. Now we're done sewing, we're ready to pull the material out. We lock that up and stay up in the up position. Okay? Very important. You learn to use this knee lift, it'll make sewing a lot easier for you. All right, so now let's run a piece of material through the machine and see how it's sewing. I got some scrap material here. We sew it, fold it in half. Okay, very important here. You need to hold these threads. If I was to just stick this under there and sew it, it's going to jam the machine up. And then we'll be using our jam safety switch. Okay, very important here. You'll learn, because everybody does it. You hold that taut. We lower our foot. We never want to sew without some material under this machine, because that will absolutely jam the machine up. We hold our material, and off we go. Okay? Now let's take a look at this. I'm pushing on the presser foot. Down at the bottom, it's like a gas pedal. You push forward, the machine runs forward. You push to the back position, it's a brake. Okay? It's just like a gas pedal. All right? So that's our presser foot. All right? So we're looking at this. Now once we have our thread locked, we can sew. All right, let's touch on this reverse button here. This is for reverse. When you want to lock your stitch, you're at the end of you're at the end here. All right. If I don't lock my stitch, that's just going to pull apart. I push this lever down. Now it's the reverse. I lift it up, we go forward again. All right. So let's take a look at how the machine's sewing. All right, from the top, looks nice. All right, from the bottom, it doesn't look bad. Now let's take a quick look. If we were to loosen this way up here, we had no tension on this thread because, as you can see when I lift my foot up, the thread will pull right through. So if I loosen that up, again, holding my thread, off we go. You'll see the loose stitch in the back. The stitch is much looser. All right, so that's where proper tension is very important. So we thread that in. Threading in makes the tension tighter. Loosening it out will make the thread looser. Now, if the thread was pulling from the top, we would loosen the tension. If it's loose on the bottom, we tighten the tension. And there you have it. All right, does anybody have any questions?
Can you change the thread without going through all these steps?
So you want to change the color of the thread?
Yes.
Okay, good question. Yes, that is a little trick. We have a little trick for that. So now our machine's set up. We're threading. We're sewing black material. Now our next job is going to be white material. Okay, well I don't want to really go through that whole threading process. All right, so what we do is we take the thread out of the needle. All right. We cut our thread up top here. All right. We put our white thread in. Change color. All right. And then we tie it. We take the two threads. It's a little overhand knot. Like that. Push it through. Okay. You'll never pull this through the needle, though. That's why you need to pull it out of the needle. So now you got a little overhand knot there. Take a second to tighten it up. Okay. Now here's where we want to keep our foot in the up position. Because in the up position, we have no tension on the thread. So now, we just gingerly pull that right through. Sometimes you have that. But it's pulled through all the threading, and you just finish like that. And now we have white thread. Okay, so now we have our machine set up with white thread. All right? So, as you'll see, as I sew, you'll see the white thread. And again, I hate to be repetitive, but you gotta hold that stitch. And there we are with white stitch. All right, any other questions?
How often do you have to oil the machine?
How often do we oil our machine? That's a very good question. I oil my machine at the beginning of every day. I oil my bobbin case, which is right here along this. Every time I install a bobbin, again, you can never put too much oil in. You want to lay a nice bead of oil around there. And the key to sewing is you want to listen to this machine. If the machine's getting loud and clangy, it needs oil. Okay, so every time you put a bobbin in, you oil the bobbin case. Every morning, at lunchtime, about 3 to 4 times a day, depending on how much sewing you're doing. And again, you can listen to the machine itself. It'll tell you when it needs oil. Okay, one other thing I would like to touch on, just from the little bit of sewing we've done, look how much bobbin we've spun. Okay, so each time you sew, you're spinning your own bobbin. Okay, when we put this bobbin in the machine, we'll set the next bobbin up. We always have a bobbin or a backup bobbin ready to go. Okay, so I want everybody to pick a machine, spread out a little bit. We got some different colored threads here. We have different bobbins and feet. Let's get on a machine. Let's try and thread it. I'll be walking around checking to see how you are doing, and let's give it a try.